Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys 5-minute figure reviews. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. So obviously today we are taking a closer look at the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Venom retro carded figure. We just saw the shipper box there, and inside you have the retro card with of course the figure and the accessories displayed the same as all of the other Spider-Man retro cards. And he looks absolutely amazing in the packaging. But of course, I like to open my figures and have a look at them, so that's what I'm going to do. But fear not, I did keep the box intact so that I can reseal him at a later date. So included in the box, you have obviously the figure. You also have two alternate hands, which are like closed fist. One red and one blue to match the cell shading. You also have an alternate head with the tongue kind of inside the mouth as opposed to hanging out of it like the tongue here. Now articulation wise, actually before I move on, I just want to say there's a little bit of colour bleed on this particular hand, which is a shame, but not at the end of the world at the end of the day. So articulation wise, he has all the standard points for articulation that you'd come to expect on a figure of this size, including the butterfly joints in his kind of pecs as well. Yep, nothing too fancy here, just your elbows, your knees, your waists, your head, etc. Now have a little closer look at the head sculpt. It's really nice. They finally nailed those animated eyes. The tongue's really nice, the teeth are really nice, the emblem painting's cool. There's kind of this symbiote looking kind of vein stuff going on his forearms. He has got huge thighs, they are absolutely massive. And the actual emblem feels a little bit raised as well, so it's not sculpted but it's not just painted, if that makes sense. Yes, okay, let's address the two peg holes that we have in the shoulders. Now we saw those on the promo pictures, and obviously the internet did kick off because they're completely unnecessary, and it would have been nice if maybe they just threw in a couple of like symbiote kind of bits to kind of plug into those. It would have been a very easy fix, but this figure is so cool in hand that I've hardly even thought about it, to be honest with you. It does not take away from this figure at all. Now you can see there the head pops off really easy, which was another concern I had, that it was going to be a bit difficult to pull the head off, but they're really nice, they're really easy, comes off. Now you can see here the real benefit of that cell shading. You've got the red on the dark side, the blue on the light side, and obviously position him something like this, you can really appreciate the how well that cell shading is. So let me just stand him up and let's have a little bit of a comparison to some of the other figures so that you can just kind of get an idea of how big this guy is. And just for that I'm going to swap the head over just so that you can see this head as well. Now both heads are really cool. I think I'm going to display him with a tongue out just because that's a bit more Venom-esque, but yeah, and it's got a nice little fork in the tongue as well there. But anyway, enough about Venom's tongue. Let's have a look at some more comparisons. So I'll just stand him in the middle there, and of course I'll get the retro carded Spider-Man out so that you can see, and he stands a good sort of head above Spider-Man, which is how it should be. This is how I remember reading Venom in the comics. This is how he's depicted in the animated series. He needs to be that bit bigger than Spider-Man so that he's obviously a lot more dominating and a force to be reckoned with. So I think that they got the scaling here between the two characters really good. Just put them back to back so you can see, and just have a look at the backs as well. You can really see that Venom just all round is a taller, thicker, more dominant character out of these two figures, which is a really nice upgrade from the previous Venoms that we've had. Looks like a weird couples photo there, but he works really well with this particular Spider-Man, and I'm sure he would with any other Spider-Man in your collection as well. So let's just pull back one of the versions of the Venom we've had previously. So we've had a couple, but they've all been built on this same body, and you know what, I didn't complain too much at the time. I thought they worked, but when I stand them next to this new exclusive version, they just look a little bit outdated. It kind of looks like someone cosplaying Venom, if that makes sense. Now one thing to point out is that the older version did get the squares on his hand, the kind of web squares, and he hasn't got them on this particular version, which is a real shame. It looks like a detail that's been missed, or that might have been down to the cell shading for some reason. But yeah, so the older version does look a little bit like somebody cosplaying a Venom as opposed to an actual Venom. He doesn't quite look big enough now when I stand him next to this exclusive version. Now a lot of people are on the fence because it's got a higher price point than previous versions, but one thing I would say is it's definitely worth it. If you're a Spider-Man collector in particular, it is definitely worth it. And if you don't have a Venom, then this is definitely a version to get. Let's have a look at the Monster Venom next to him. Now this was originally a builder figure, and then they repainted him and released him as a deluxe figure. And I really liked this one when it came out. There was something about it, the big bulky version of him that works really well, and he's still a favourite of mine. However, he doesn't look like the animated version. The new exclusive definitely does. I'll just pop Spider-Man on at the end there just for fun, just to round that lineup up. So yeah, my kind of final thoughts on it is that I was on the fence because of the price point and because it was just another Venom, but then when I realised that he was built on a bigger buck, he was kind of an instant buy for me. And I fully recommend that anybody else that's kind of on the fence, if you're a Spider-Man collector, pick this guy up because I'm sure you will not be disappointed. Venom is always a fan favourite, so I'm sure these are going to all disappear eventually, and it'd be a shame if you missed out on one and was debating it. So overall, my final thoughts is that he is definitely worth picking up. Don't sleep on this guy, he is definitely worth picking up. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe and all of those things. And if you're enjoying the 5-minute figure reviews, then please do check out the rest of them on my page, and I'll see you soon.